Hi everyone, my name is Kat Hildebrand, and this is my final presentation for Dr. Reister in her EDU Online 300 class, which is a presentation of the Integrated Gizmo Unit. So my first thoughts as I entered into creating this unit was, wow, yikes, so much information. There are so many possibilities. Blackboard is chock full of ideas and rubrics and thoughts and helpful hints from Dr. Reister on how this unit would start. But all of her work was something that I just took and I looked at it all and I thought, wow, I am never going to get this done. I am never going to be able to do this. So it's a closed mindset and something that we are taught not to have. So I put that away, and my growth mindset helped me to look past the overwhelmingness of this assignment and narrow down my thought processes, and I was able to do that. So my final decision of what to focus on in regards to early 19th century travel was trains and Ohio steel mills. From these two topics, I chose to focus primarily on trains because I think that that's something that's a little easier for fourth grade to grasp and a helpful scientific research project for students to understand solids, liquid, gas, and the way that a steam engine correlates with those, all of those things. So I thought that that was a really good area for students to focus on, but I wanted to incorporate the Industrial Revolution and the way that trains affected Ohio steel mills in their progression and production of materials. So that was where I started, and from there I looked at our gizmo and I looked at ideas of what my language arts and science and math lessons could look like, and I culminated all of my thoughts in this little idea that I found online, which was an experiment of how to make steam engines in the classroom, which sounds a little dangerous, but bear with me. So I decided that because there's fire involved in this experiment, my students would not be doing it. The teacher would do the experiment and the students would help her. This was a highlight for me. I thought this was such a cool idea to have students create a steam engine. And it worked well with the gizmo, which I'll get to in just a second. Okay, so I have included all of the steps of this experiment that I found, and I've listed them in my unit, so I'm sure that you can see that online. But I just wanted to let you look at them really quick before we talk about it. As you can see, it doesn't involve very many materials. They're pretty simple: a can, a candle, a piece of wire, a bowl of water, etc. But this picture really shows how the energy from the heat is pushed into the water, and then that water creates steam. And there's a couple other steps that I left out and I wouldn't do in the classroom because they're a little too in-depth. But basically that water starts to steam, and there's a way that that steam is controlled and then reused, which powers a steam engine. Okay, let me go back to this for just 1 second. So this was the idea that I came up with, but the gizmo was an experiment that used the controlled energy, the potential energy of wound up rubber bands. And then when those bands were released, a barrel is pushed forward. So I thought that these two experiments combined give students a really good understanding of the way that energy can be produced from different forms. Okay, so social butterflies. My highlights for this project were the collaboration perspectives. I had a really good time with all of my friends, talking to them about all of these projects and what in the world we should do, and getting some perspective from the engineering students. That's something that's a little challenging for me, is to listen to other people, but I really enjoyed getting to work with outside students, not just education majors. That was great for me. The way that we got to work with each other was very different in this lesson because we have our own units, but we got to talk to people about them, and I thought that was really cool. Challenges for me were personalization modifications. So the way that we were supposed to personalize our units for our specific classrooms. Our classroom was Mrs. Casto, and she had a lot of reading problem students, so IEPs of any type of reading challenge. So my modifications were to be focused on that. I tried my very best to make those modifications effective for her class, but also make them in a way that they could be modified themselves so that the unit could be used in another classroom. That was definitely a challenge for me. Also, the detail orientation that this unit required was something that was not new to me, but definitely I've never done before. And so that was something that I had to work really hard on, not to forget any of the details, any of the little pieces that go into this project, but definitely worth it. I learned so much. Okay. One of my favorite parts was all my gal pals. We have so many group chats going of what in the world we are supposed to do with this project and what's next and who's on top of it and who needs help. And I really enjoyed that. I liked working with my friends, but also my peers who are in the same classes as me. Senior year is something to be remembered. And so I am really grateful for everyone who worked through this project and collaborated in the unit and was on our team. I'm so grateful. And that is my presentation. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit about steam engines. I think they're pretty cool. And I hope that you all have a very, very merry, happy, holy Christmas. And it has been a pleasure working with all of you. Take good care. God bless.